I believe it was Amelia's job I gave. Or Hannah's job. Okay. So now, let's do the next step. This one here. Oh, sorry. Let's do it here. So find the axis of symmetry. Find the axis symmetry. Add the zeros and divide by 2. This is the x component of our vertex. So this is my vertex. Okay, I want you to find the x component here. So add your zeros and divide by 2. Just like this. Just make a little chart like such. So I put a dot there, which was 2. I put one that was -1. I put my dots there. Okay. I'll also do it over here. But that's perfectly fine if you just want to do it like this, since I know you're at home. You want to be able to graph it, because when we do word problems tomorrow, graphing it will make it a little bit easier to make sense of what's going on. Okay, Brooke? So my step 2 here, I'm going to add my zeros. So 2 plus -1 divided by 2. So that's going to equal 1 divided by 2, which equals 0.5. So put a G in chat if you got that. Good. Put an S in chat if I need to slow down. Okay. Slow down a little bit? Okay. I'll give the next step, Logan, then I'll wait for you to say you're ready. So now insert the axis of symmetry. So insert this number here into the original equation. So my original equation was, actually, what color is the screen? My original equation was, oops, x minus 2 x plus 1. So now, plug that number in those spots, which you'll get 2 numbers to multiply together, and then you get a final answer. Okay. Logan, I will wait for you to press G in chat. Deanna, I can see you in, let me take a look, Deanna. Yeah, I saw your chat from 9:41. Oh, sorry, I missed your question there. Why is it -1? It's supposed to be 2 and 1. 2 and -1. Oh, it comes out of the bracket. When it comes out of the bracket, it becomes -d. And you think about it like this. You take it out and you make it equal to 1. Make it equal to 0, sorry. And then you solve for it. So I move that over and -1. And that's why it's -1. Does that make sense, Deanna? What is the vertex thing you put beside step 2? Okay. So when you find the axis of symmetry, whatever number you get there is the x part of your vertex. So I'm just starting to write the vertex as in x comma y, and this gives me my x component of my vertex. That's why I just write vertex there so I can go back to it when I go to plot the vertex. It's in my form of x comma y. Does that make sense, Logan? Brooke, what step are you lost on right now? Okay. Yeah, I know. Look, Kaylee. Okay, Logan, press G when you're ready, or press R when you're ready. I'm gonna go get my daughter back in. It's their original meeting. I'll get you back into your other meeting. What did you learn in your police officer meeting?
If something doesn't feel right, go tell a adult.
Okay.
I got through 3 grades.
Don't bust caps in people. Take care of the problem yourself.
No, ask a person who works at a store.
Okay.
Coming back to join us.
There you go. Hi. Thank you. So now, if we put our number in here, we would have put our zeros in here. Sorry, our 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, which gets us negative 1.5 times 1.5, which equals what number? Negative 2.25. That should have been green. So you know your vertex now occurs at 0.5 and negative 2.25. Now you can go up and chart that. So negative 0.5, as we have here. And then I could make up that negative 2.25 is around here. And that's where we're going to put our dot for our vertex. Yeah, I'll go back down. So what I did there, Emma, was I put in the 0.5 into the equation. And then I did 0.5 minus 2 is negative 1.5. And 1.5, like this. Now, if you have your calculator going, if you have a nice calculator, you could plug that into your calculator all at once. So bracket 0.5 minus 2, bracket, 0.5 plus 1. Now give us our same answer. Okay. Now we plotted the vertex already. We saw that. Now my next step, I need to get my y-intercept, so I need to FOIL to get the standard form. So I have x plus 2, x minus 1. Oh, sorry, that's opposite. Did I mess up somewhere? No. Now I want you to FOIL this to get to your standard form, okay? Logan, when you're ready, press oh shoot, I marked that. That's what I did wrong. No, cut that. That's should be at 0.5, not negative 0.5. There we go. So Logan, when you're ready, press R. After foiling. Once you're done foiling. So this will be that. Now, my next step is identify my y-intercept, and my y-intercept is just the last number here. So my y-intercept in this case is -2. And then I can graph that. My y-intercept happens at -2. Let's say that's -2 right there. I put a dot right there, and then I'm just going to combine all my dots. How do we feel about seeing that a second time? Out of 5, how do we feel now? Feel a little bit better about it, hopefully. It's following through the steps that I sent to you. Now you have this paper, right? I sent it to you. Brooke, I haven't seen your number yet. I sent this to you in an email from Sunday, right? So you can have it up, have it either printed out or pull it up on your computer or your phone so you can refer back to it. All right, let's do one more. I'm going to make this one a little more confusing. Okay. How much more confusing should I make it? Oh, how do you feel about this, Brooke? $3.5. Okay, that's good. That's a good number. Okay, here's a super confusing one. So your equation is y equals -2 bracket 2x plus 4 x minus 2. Okay. So let's identify the zeros. And the zeros are not, oops. I'll tell you right now, the 0 is not -4 and 2. You have to do some math for this one. 2x plus 4 equals 0, and then rearrange and solve for it. When you have this step done, press D in chat when you think you have both your zeros. Not quite. So set it up like this and then solve for the x. So this one here I'd move over. So x equals 2. So that's a simple one. That's one you look at. If it just has an x there, just flip the sign. This one, we move that over. 2x equals -4. Then we divide by 2. So my zeros are -2 and 2. Does that make sense? How I got that after you see it? Is that a yes or a no? As in, yep, that makes perfect sense, or nope, you lost me. Okay. So let's have another one up here. Let's do 8x minus 2 and 5x plus 20. Okay. So all the time before, let's do one over here first. Before, when you see this, you would just look at it and know the zeros were 3 and -5. Land of opposites, switch to signs. Okay, but that worked because we have a 1 in front of here. What's actually happening mathematically is you're going x plus 5 equals 0, because what we want is one of these brackets to equal 0. Either the first bracket, we want that to happen where this one equals 0, so we're trying to make it equal 0, or we're trying to make this one equal to 0. So that's why we're trying to make this equation here equal to 0. And we solve for it. We move that over, it's a plus on this side of the equation. It becomes a negative. And this is where this answer comes from. Just like, move that over. This is where this answer comes from. Because those are simple, right? We can just look and say, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like we see the relationship. We did it before. We looked at graphs and you're able to pull it out. But when you have a coefficient, slash a number in front, we just can't go 2 and negative 20 because the math doesn't work. What you need to do is you need to make this equal to 0 and then solve for the 8. This is a horrible number. Let me switch that number. Let's put a 4 in there. Okay, and then we solve for it. So we move that over. So that'd be 8x equals 24, because it was a minus becomes a plus, then divide by 8. So x would equal 3 in this sense. For this one, we do the exact same thing. 5x plus 20 equals 0. And then we rearrange again. 5x equals negative 20. Divide by 5, divide by 5. X equals negative 4. Does that make more sense now, Madison and Owen and Emma? So if you ever see a coefficient in front, a number in front of the x, you have to bring it down, make it equal to 0, and rearrange it in order to get your 0. When it's just a number, when it's just a 1 in front, you can just eyeball see it. But the actual math of how it's happening is still the same. You make it equal to 0 and go from there. So that's what we did with this one. Right? So we had to go 2x plus 4, and we had to rearrange it. Move the 4 over, becomes a negative, divide by 2, which gives us 2 and negative 2 as our zeros. Okay? On your culminating, although I might switch your culminating. I found a nice way to do your culminating. It matters if I want to put in a ton of work to switch your culminating. Okay? So, back to the question, we did the first part, right? We identified the zeros and graphed. Now next is we find the axis of symmetry, right? Where we add the zeros and divide by 2. So I will let you guys start. When you're done, press D in the chat when you know your axis of symmetry. And the axis of symmetry is the x component of your vertex. So sometimes I just like building my vertex on the side. I'll put it over here for right now. So put a D in chat when you find your axis of symmetry. Good. Emma, you're done. Logan, you tell me when you're done. You seem to be my person who sets the pace, per se. If you're done and want to go ahead to the next step, feel free to. Tom's done. So we add our 2 zeros together, divide by 2. Oh, good. So we go negative 2. Oops, wrong color. You probably did it right if you got a weird answer. Negative 2 plus 2 equals 0. 0 divided by 2 equals 0. So our x component of our vertex is 0. Emma, was I right that you did it correct? That's why I picked this one, so it felt weird. So now put your axis symmetry back into the equation and solve for your vertex. So my equation was -2 bracket 2 plus 4 bracket -2. So I'm putting the 0 into the equation here. So I'm trying to find my y component of my vertex. So press D in chat when you're done. One second, my daughter's calling me on the. Kaylee, I do not want candy at 10 a.m. and you should be not eating candy at 10 a.m. So I don't want any candy.
I could hear you now. What kind of candy do you want?
I do not want any candy, Kaylee, and you should not have candy. So tell me when you're all done this step. I'm not giving her candy, Maddie. I'm surprised Brooke isn't here telling, what kind of candy do you guys eat in the morning? Oh, eggs, whatever they are. Mini eggs, yes. My wife's favorite. I bought her a mini egg. So her two favorite things are mini eggs and dairy milk. And there's a dairy milk mini egg chocolate bar that I bought. Okay. So I'm going to start working through this because it looks like we've stalled out. So 2 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 2 is -2. So I just keep going here. 0 plus 4 is 4 times -2. So I can put these two together first. That's going to be -8. And then that's going to be 16. Okay. So this number is going to be 16. Put a Y in chat if you got 16 as your number, as your vertex. Good. And we can go graph that now as well. We put this up here and just say it's 16. That's perfectly fine. So I did that in green as well. Now, our next step is we can Okay, you can hear me now? Can you hear me? Yeah, okay, my microphone died. So I'll let you guys start your foiling. then bring it in. So you should have something like, so put a D in chat when you're all done foiling. do. Emma, you're good. Emma, Emma, was this your C value? When you're all done, if you got this is your C value, you did it right. Okay. Logan, let me know when you're done. Perfect. So if I were to do this, I'd do my first one, it'd be 2x squared. What happened there, I have no clue. Minus 4x plus 4x. What's that say? Minus 8. That's going to equal 2x. These are going to equal 0, so let's get rid of those. And minus 8, 2x squared. Then I'm going to go again, so I get negative 4x squared plus 16. Is that right? Yeah. And if you look, your y-intercept is right here, which makes sense because it's you already graphed your y-intercept. So you actually didn't have to do that step, but I was just being mean and making it. That's good practice. And there's our graph. So this one here would be like the hardest question I could give you. Okay. And then the second part of today is actually going to be super easy because it just builds off of what we did earlier. So let's take a look at your homework. I would like you to graph 3 of these in all honesty. Let's graph the first one. Let's graph both of these. If you want a challenge, do this one, and that one as your 3. Okay. So let's say, what time? $10:55. We're back. Okay, do our second part. Okay. If anyone wants to walk through what we're doing right now, I gotta stop recording.